Levine. Today I want to talk about living with bipolar disorder and being a writer. And I first want to say that I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at age 15. I'm 37 now, so it's been over 20 years that I've lived with this condition. I've also been writing since I'm a child. The first book I wrote that was published was self-published when I was 14 years old. And I now have written about 9 books, including several that are published by major publishers. A few of them include Beating Bipolar for Hay House. I wrote The Psychology of Adult Coloring that's going to be released from Skyhorse on October 4th. And I have the book The Depression Diet, also coming out from Skyhorse in January of 2017. So many times I've helped people that have bipolar and often encourage them to journal and to write. I found when I was really struggling with my mental illness, having a creative outlet was so important and helpful. It allowed me to process what I was thinking, to get out feelings and emotions that maybe felt hard or confusing. Sometimes putting things to paper just gave me a way to discuss what was going on. I think when you're a young person and you have bipolar, it can feel really overwhelming and scary, and sometimes writing can be a really excellent way to open up. I've also done a lot of work. I also enjoy rapping, and in my schoolwork, when I was getting my master's degree in social work, I created a program called Rap Therapy where I taught kids in the hospital to write hip-hop, song, dance, and art about their lives. And I found that for many of them, it was very hard to open up and express some of the painful things they have had happen to them. But by writing about it or making poems or raps, it became easier. And sometimes when talking in front of each other and rapping or sharing their poetry, it felt more comfortable than just a traditional therapy group. So I want to say to you that, part of my lesson with writing and bipolar is that we all have a story to tell. We've gone through different experiences, and we can maybe teach each other with our story because it's unique and we've learned different things. And I've had the ability to not only write books, but to do talks. I've done about 70 educational talks at different organizations and schools and hospitals, as well as some companies. And getting up and sharing my lessons and stories, on a stage is such a wonderful way to open up. I now do so on YouTube here where I have lots of talks, and the books are an even greater tool where I can really sit down and collect my ideas and put the knowledge I've gained as a therapist and a coach and an author and give them to other people. And that to me is why it's so great to be a writer, whether you write fiction, nonfiction, self-help books, memoirs, whatever it is. I feel like we have the ability to impact each other, and I love to read. I'm actually today reading a Wayne Dyer book, and I think that when I hear someone sharing their knowledge and their lessons, it just kind of connects me with them and also is a great teaching tool. Someone once said that if you spend all your time in a library, you can learn almost anything, because the library are filled with books that have so much information and knowledge about all types of subjects. And for me, that's been one of my greatest places, is to go to the library and take out books and read. And many times people don't enjoy reading, but I find that once you get into it, it can be one of the most healthy and helpful ways to learn about things. And then writing, taking what you read, taking what you learn, taking your experiences, taking things that have happened and putting that into written word. Such a blessing and such a beautiful experience. And now that I've written all these books, it's been so amazing. And something that's really wonderful about writing is years later, those books are around. So even a book I wrote 20 years ago still can be looked at, be read. I can remember what has happened. The books that I have written, I see them sometimes in stores or at secondhand shops, and it just tells me that the lesson will be here forever. And I'm reading Wayne Dyer's book today. He's passed away recently, and his books are still alive in the sense that they can be read and teach people whatever he had to share. So if you want to be a writer, I encourage you to do so. I want you to remember that you can, learn about the art of writing and then share your knowledge. So I wanted to share that with you today. I'm going to share some of the links of my new books coming out, and hope wherever you are, things are great, and you keep getting your creativity out in written word.